Mike Pence says his office decided to use Doonbeg for inconvenient Irish stay, and Donald Trump didn't direct him to stay at his resort after aides revealed how President suggested his private property for official visit. Mike Pence said it was his office's decision for the vice president and his family to stay at Donald Trump's Doonbeg resort, and the president didn't direct them. The decision to stay at Trump National in Doonbeg, Ireland was solely a decision by the office of the vice president, Pence's office said in a statement. At no time did the president direct our office to stay at his Doonbeg resort, and any reporting to the contrary is false. The statement continued. Pence's chief of staff said earlier Trump suggested the Doonbeg stay. Pence and his family stayed at Trump's golf club during the two-day visit. It raised questions about the appropriateness of using the president's personal property for an official visit. Pence defended his stay there, saying it was the logical place for him. Pence commuted from Trump's property to meetings in Dublin at a cost of about $13,000 per flight on Air Force 2 by Emily Gooden, News. Political reporter for DailyMail.com published 13:36 British Summer Time, the 4th of September 2019, updated 14:11 British Summer Time, the 4th of September 2019. Mike Pence said late Tuesday it was his office's decision for the vice president and his family to stay at Donald Trump's Doonbeg resort, and the president didn't direct them to overnight at his Irish golf club. The clarification from vice president's office came after Pence's chief of staff said Trump suggested his resort, leading to questions about the appropriateness of using the president's personal property for an official visit. Because of some misreporting, we want to clarify that the decision to stay at Trump National in Doonbeg, Ireland was solely a decision by the office of the vice president and was based on the requirement to find accommodations near the vice president's ancestral hometown that could satisfy meetings on both coasts of the Emerald Isle, Pence's office said in a statement. At no time did the president direct our office to stay at his Doonbeg resort, and any reporting to the contrary is false. The statement continued. Mike Pence said it was his office's decision for the vice president and his family to stay at Donald Trump's Doonbeg resort, and the president didn't direct them to do so during their official visit to Ireland. Pence's office originally said President Trump suggested the stay at his Doonbeg resort. Pence's office argued that the Trump International Doonbeg was the only local hotel that could accommodate the vice president on short notice. Pence commuted back and forth between Dublin and Shannon Island on Air Force 2, at a cost of about $13,000 per flight. Mike's grand tour. Pence stayed at his boss Donald Trump's Doonbeg golf resort, more than 180 miles from Dublin, for a day of meetings with Ireland's President and Prime Minister. The decision to spend 2 nights at the President's Golf Club in Shannon Island, and for the Vice President to commute to his Dublin meetings 180 miles away via Air Force 2 sparked outrage and raised concerns about Trump benefiting financially from the stay. Pence's office struggled to contain the narrative and the visuals. A 1-hour motorcade from the Doonbeg Golf Club to the Shannon Airport, followed by a 60-minute flight to Dublin for official meetings. During the 2-day visit to the Vice President's ancestral land, originally, said the vice president's team, the suggestion to stay at Trump International Golf Links. Mark Short, Pence's chief of staff, recalled Trump telling Pence, "Well, you should stay at my place. I don't think it was a request, like a command," Short told reporters traveling with the vice president in Ireland on Tuesday. "I think that it was a suggestion." The vice president, who was traveling with his wife Karen Pence, his mother Nancy Fritch Pence, and his sister Ann Pence Pointer, also said his family stayed at the property before Trump purchased it during a previous visit to the area, where the Pence family has extended relatives. Statement from Pence's office on Doonbeg stay. Because of some misreporting, we want to clarify that the decision to stay at Trump National in Doonbeg, Ireland was solely a decision by the office of the vice president and was based on the requirement to find accommodations near the vice president's ancestral hometown that could satisfy meetings on both coasts of the Emerald Isle. The vice president's family previously stayed at the same resort in 2013 prior to the Trump organization's acquisition of the property, and the office was aware of its proximity to the ancestral home where his great-grandmother lived before emigrating to the United States. Our original schedule contemplated 1 night in Doonbeg after official meetings in Dublin. When Hurricane Dorian required our office to change the schedule on short notice, the decision was made to overnight in Doonbeg for 2 nights to accommodate official business and public events on both coasts. At no time did the president direct our office to stay at his Doonbeg resort, and any reporting to the contrary is false. The vice president's family previously stayed at the same resort in 2013 prior to the Trump organization's acquisition of the property, and the office was aware of its proximity to the ancestral home where his great-grandmother lived before emigrating to the United States, his office said. Trump bought Doonbeg, consisting of a golf course designed by Greg Norman, a five-star hotel and a spa, in February of 2014. Pence's grandmother was born and raised in Doonbeg of Ireland's County Clare. Extended members of Pence's family operate the Morrissey's pub in Doonbeg, and Pence worked in the pub during a 1981 visit to his family's homeland. The vice president and his family joined some of those family members for dinner at Morrissey's on Tuesday night, where they were greeted by Hugh McNally, a distant Pence cousin who owns the pub. The family posed outside for pictures before heading in for a meal. "We're going to have a wonderful dinner," Pence said as he went into the pub. But politics overshadowed the Pence family dinner as the growing controversy about President Trump's personal business interests making money from his administration grew as the day went on. Trump, since taking the oath of office, has blurred the line between official and personal, often holding fundraisers and events at Trump hotels. For example, Republican lawmakers and officials have contributed to the president's bottom line, hosting fundraising at his Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. For example, the president has also pitched his properties, recently suggesting his National Doral luxury golf resort near Miami for next year's G7 meeting that will be hosted by the United States. Almost $20 million has been spent at the Trump properties since 2015 by various political groups, most of them Republican-leaning and some of which were the president's re-election campaign, according to the Center for Responsive Politics. Vice President Mike Pence arrives in Doonbeg to visit Morrissey's pub with his sister Ann Pence Pointer, left, his mother Nancy Pence Fritch, Morrissey's owner Hugh McNally, who is a Pence cousin, and Second Lady Karen Pence. Pence greets local residents upon his arrival at the Doonbeg pub. The Pence family, sister Ann Pence Pointer, wife Karen Pence, the vice president, and his mother Nancy Pence Fritch, arrive at their relatives' pub earlier Tuesday. Pence defended his Doonbeg stay, saying he cleared it with the State Department and it was the logical place for him to reside during his two-day visit. "I understand political attacks by Democrats, but if you have a chance to get to Doonbeg, you'll find it's a fairly small place, and the opportunity to stay at the Trump National in Doonbeg, to accommodate the unique footprint that comes with our security detail and other personnel, made it logical," Pence told reporters in Dublin. "We checked it with the State Department. They approved us staying there," he added, "and I was pleased to have the opportunity to return to that family hometown and to be able to stay there, and not just on a personal level, but also to do it in a way that helps me celebrate with the people of Ireland the connection that so many tens of millions of Americans feel to the Emerald Isle." Pence's chief of staff Mark Short told reporters Tuesday that Trump International Doonbeg was the only local hotel that could accommodate the vice president on short notice. But the controversy came with the commute. Pence traveled via plane, flying from the Shannon Airport to Dublin for official meetings and back again to crash at Trump's golf club. It's about a 60-minute flight. The Air Force puts the flight cost of a C-32, a modified Boeing 757 jet known as Air Force Two, when Pence is on board, at about $13,000 per hour. Family visit. Mike Pence brought his mother Nancy Fritch Pence with him on his trip to Ireland, where Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar showed her father Richard Crawley's service record. Crawley immigrated to the U.S. in 1923 after being a member of the government forces in the Civil War which racked Ireland after independence in 1921. Family affair. Mike Pence traveled with, from left, his sister Ann Pence Pointer, mother Nancy Pence Fritch, and wife Karen They had lunch with Ireland's Prime Minister, Leo Varadkar, second right, and his partner Matthew Bell, third right, at Family House in Dublin after flying from Shannon Airport on the other side of the country. Short acknowledged that Trump was involved in the conversation for the vice president to stay at Trump International Doonbeg and told Pence, "Well, you should stay at my place," but Short claimed, "It wasn't like you must, it wasn't like you have to, it's a facility that could accommodate the team." Short also declined to address the cost of the vice president's stay, saying that was the State Department's purview, the government negotiates those room rates, Short said. "I think that the president on several occasions has commented on what he's giving up to serve the country in the role that he's doing." Trump stayed at his Doonbeg club in June, after his state visit to London. He commuted from there to Normandy, France, for D-Day celebrations. Pence is on travel to Europe this week and flew into Shannon, Ireland on Monday from Warsaw, Poland for meetings with Irish officials lobbying the US to push for Brexit deal that observes the Good Friday Agreement between the UK and the Republic of Ireland. He decided to make Trump International Doonbeg his home base after a scheduling change that saw him absorb a stop in Poland that Trump was supposed to make led to a scramble to find suitable accommodations in the Doonbeg area, Pence's chief of staff said. Short said Trump's club was the one facility in the Doonbeg area that can accommodate a group of the size. Vice President Mike Pence and the Second Lady Karen Pence arrive at Shannon Airport for the start of an official visit to Ireland. Mike and Karen Pence, along with his mother Nancy Pence Fritsch, had tea with Irish President Michael Higgins and his wife Sabine. Trump's decision to cancel his trip to Poland to monitor Hurricane Dorian and send Pence in his stead had aides scrambling to reconfigure the vice president's schedule. Pence was originally supposed to go on a trip to Iceland, London, and then Ireland, but the added Poland stop changed his itinerary, moving the Ireland stop to immediately after Poland. Our originally planned trip, which was Wednesday, Iceland, Thursday, UK, Friday, Ireland, and then we'd finish in Doonbeg, because that's where the Pence family is from, Short told reporters. That was the originally planned trip. These trips require weeks of advance and Secret Service protection, so that's where we were staying on the Friday night of our trip. When the hurricane arose and the president asked the vice president to go to Poland in his stead, our logistical challenge was how do we make that all work? So rather than try to switch Ireland, Iceland, and UK, we took the Ireland component that was at the back end of the trip and moved it to the front, because it had already been secured by Secret Service. They had done all the advance work, Short explained. What we were originally going to do, is that was going to be the last part of our trip. Fly into Dublin, spend the day in Dublin, then go out to Doonbeg, he said. He added that staff knew Doonbeg was a secure site, the facility, we knew it was safe and protected. And if you're going to stay in the Doonbeg area with a footprint of our size, that is the one facility that can accommodate that. So that's the way we went about changing travel for this week, Short noted, and we followed normal protocol for this trip as we do every other trip. Taxpayers are picking up the tab for the costs of Pence's lodging and Secret Service protection. Pence paid for his mother and sister's travel, Short said. Democrats pounced on the controversy. Democratic Rep. Ted Lieu of California accused Pence of funneling taxpayer money toward POTUS by staying at this Trump resort, calling the move so corrupt, your tax dollars, making the Trump family richer. The Democratic National Committee added by tweet, Pence's Irish ancestry includes his great-grandparents James Maloney and Mary Ann Downs, who emigrated from Doonbeg in the 1890s. The granddaughter Nancy Crawley, now Nancy Pence Fritsch, is Pence's mother. Pence has reconnected with distant cousins in Doonbeg in the past, including Hugh McNally, who owns Morris's, the village pub where Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. were seen pulling pints of Guinness during their father's stay in Doonbeg in July. Among Pence's meetings during his trip was a sit-down with Taoiseach Leo Varadkar and his partner Matt Barrett, where they were joined by Second Lady Karen Pence. President Trump's sons Eric and Donald Jr. Wright hold a pint of Guinness in a pub in Doonbeg, west of Ireland, during their father's official visit to Ireland in June. Pence previously said that, as a student, he worked in the pub when visiting his Irish family. "Our family cherishes our Irish heritage. As the Taoiseach said, my grandfather came to America in 1923 for these shores. He grew up in Tubbercurry, in County Sligo. My grandmother's parents grew up near Doonbeg, in County Clare," Pence said during a meeting with Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar. "I first came to Ireland the year my grandfather passed in 1981. I saw the two-room house he grew up in. I spent weeks cutting turf in the peat bogs. I learned how to pour a proper pint working at Morrissey's pub in Doonbeg. During that month and a half that I was here, it was a formative experience in my life," he added. The Vice President's grandfather, Richard Crawley, was born in Tubbercurry, a village in County Sligo, and emigrated in 1923 after serving as a soldier on the Irish government side in the Civil War, which racked the country immediately after it became independent in 1921. Varadkar showed Pence and his mother Nancy the military service record of Crawley, who served with distinction in the Irish Defence Forces during the Civil War. Read more. Let's Blog ads.